Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you for coming. Today's session 2. And yesterday we went through the plot line or the game, one-player game that I call Bhagavad Gita, the Song of Seven Dolls. We'll also do a little recap for those who are new. And also I think it's good to do a recap. But before we start, let's do a prayer. And feel free to repeat after me. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Ma Mritam Gamya. From ignorance to truth, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. I just thought this would be another good way to start the session. This is a calendar I found in the Ramakrishna ashram. And it's the eternal calendar because it doesn't have a year on it. So it just has date, no year on it, and no day on it. And in the spirit of what we will discuss today, eternal things, I think this is an apt chart. And so today is December 24th, and this is all the sayings of Swami Vivekananda. So today is December 24th. Swamiji says, if you want to help others, your little self must go. A lot's been said in these few words, but we'll meditate along for the day. If you want to help others, your little self must go. Ego. How small or big our ego is, that is what Swamiji is asking us to think about. But to help others, we have to make our ego a little bit smaller. So let's get the show started. So yesterday, we introduced the Song of Seven Dolls. And I'll just quickly recap. And we are doing this study from the perspective of Shankara's Advaita Vedanta, the non-dual Vedanta, the philosophy of oneness. That one thing that makes us all the same. So this was our first doll. This is where we started, Arjun. We're all Arjuns. This one was having a big nervous breakdown. But then we are all Arjuns in some way or the other. This is my caricature. But we all have those, as you said, existential questions in life. Different questions at different points in our life. We all have them. So this was what we call the doing person, karta. Hands, legs, karma, action is its purpose of this body. We open this doll and we find one more doll inside of it that we call the experiencing person, the bhokta, the one who experiences this whole game of life. Thoughts, emotions, feelings, ego, memory, intellect, mind, senses, all in it. Good and bad, duality, too. Happy, sad, pleasure, pain, love, fear, All of us is our experience, some mixture of that. And our whole goal is to have more pleasure and less pain, or rather as much pleasure as possible and no pain if possible. As much love as we can gather and have no fear if possible. We want life to bend to our likes and not to deal with dislikes. So this is what this experiencing person is trying to do. This was dhyana. Well, this was action part of karma, the doing person. The experiencing person is doing the mind, dhyana. Our antennas called senses, taking in everything that we see, processing it through our mind, and having this world of thoughts. And then also bhakti, that chart over there, dhyana and bhakti. So this is the action person, experiencing person, and the other one is the doing person. Those charts will go through in subsequent sessions, but that's what the focus will be there. This is the experiencing doll, experiencing person, bhokta. We open this. There's another person inside of this experiencing person, the soul person, Jivatman. So this guy is seen by everyone. This is only seen by me. I'm Pranav. No one else gets to see it. And this is sitting inside of me, one layer behind me also, but I also do not know what it's doing. Subconscious is what Carl Jung would call it. This is where the seat of my desires, deepest desires that expresses wants in the experiencing person come. This is where everything that I've accumulated in seed form through this life and previous life come through. So this is the bondage. This is the prisoner. We are prisoners to our desires and our karmic impressions. We're also, while this person is doing the action, this person is doing the cause and effect, the other part of action, which is the effect that we internalize over any action. Again, this game is being played inside of me, not outside. Focus here is on Arjun. And then the fourth doll within Arjun, within all of us, which will be the subject today, Atman, consciousness. The one that makes all of us one. The pure witness, the pure subject. We'll talk a lot about this today. So this is who Arjun is. And what I call the psychology of Bhagavad Gita. And this is what, these three dolls are what I call philosophy of Bhagavad Gita. Where all the Arjuns, this is the Maya person, doll 5. The doing person, experiencing person, the soul person, and the being person, the consciousness. This is Arjun. And this is the Maya person, this world. Outside is also Maya, and my thoughts and feelings are also Maya. Anything that changes is Maya. This does not change. Society, everybody who's not me is also Maya. I'm just quickly recapping this. And the sixth doll was the God person, Krishna. The famous chapter 11 Bhagavad Gita, Vishwarup Darshan Yoga, which is this one, is where Krishna reveals to Arjun that not only he is God as an avatar, but he is also the one of cosmic form, in which all of this Maya, see, he says, the Maya inside of me. and says, everything that moves and everything that does not move, it's all inside of me. All the Arjuns and all the Pranavs are by default in this. And then they're all sitting within the God person, Krishna. And finally, this is the form of God, but there's also one more God beyond Krishna, according to Shankara, Brahman, existence, isness, Tat, Tat and Tvam. So this is Brahman. Again, these two are the same dolls, except one is the smallest of the small, the other one is biggest of the big. One is the outside and the other one is the inside. And then basically, Advaita says there is no inside and outside. And if you philosophically think about it, what is inside and what is outside? This yoga shala, it has certain boundaries. We said arbitrarily that if something is inside this four walls, it's inside. But if it's something outside this four walls, it is outside. But this construction of four walls is something we have imagined. It's the frame of reference we have. Similarly, this body is what I've decided is what's dividing between me, the inside, from what is outside. Sanju has a different body, so his frame of reference is different than my frame of reference. What is inside is defined as basically what is limited by this layer called physical body. I drop this imaginary idea that this is only the physical body, then it's all the same only, like if we think about that. So this body is the first layer of duality that we experience. And then if there is no inside and the outside, then it should basically be the seven dolls have to come in a circle, isn't it? This is the bliss part of existence, consciousness, and bliss. And this is the song of seven dolls, really, where they're all nested within each other, but strangely, they're also going round and round in a cosmic dance. In fact, beyond cosmic also, because cosmic is what we define as this Maya, beyond existence. So, existence, consciousness, and bliss, Tat, Tvam, and Asi. So, this is what we covered yesterday. I'll pause for a second and just ask if there are any reflections or any feedback or any questions before we go further. Does it make sense? Now, what if I told you this was the hardest part? The whole of Bhagavad Gita is actually these seven dolls talking to each other. Sometimes Brahman is talking to Atman. Sometimes when Arjun is having a breakdown and he says, I don't want to fight this battle, he's talking with this Maya person. He says, I don't want to do my duty. Why do I want to kill? It's happening here. So, once we understand this sort of character play, I think Bhagavad Gita, I feel, it starts singing to us. It stops being a philosophical or psychological text. It becomes a poetic text. So with that frame in mind, I believe the sessions will get progressively easier from here. There was a lot we covered yesterday. I really thank you for being so patient. And a few of you coming today also. So today's session is a special one. I've titled it Purusha and Prakriti, Consciousness and Matter. So for today's session, we will take away these three dolls, the philosophy dolls as I call them, and focus on psychology. So before we do that, once I lay down this framework that there are 7 dolls, the next question that should come is, okay, where did these dolls come from? If we think all of us as dolls only, where did we come from? Who created us? Second question is, what are these dolls made up of? So these dolls are made up of wood. And clearly we went somewhere to make these dolls to an artisan, and then we had them painted. So there was a creator involved in this. And then there was also this act of creating them, just like we were also created from some place and somebody, put us together. Whatever that somebody is will find that out. And then we are made somehow with some material, like these dolls are made up of wood. So today we'll investigate that question. Where did these dolls came from and what are they made up of? Specifically, we will talk about these 4 dolls. The Arjun doll. And why I said today is going to be, once we get this foundation laid out, as I said, a bold claim that Bhagavad Gita will become very easy for us. So I'm going to circulate some printouts here. There are 3 of them. So please share them. 3 circulate karo Sanju. Hi Puneet. So there are no less than 32 verses in here. So we'll speed run through these 32 verses. They'll become very easy once this framework is laid out. So, before we even started, let's look at this monkey. This is our prop for the day. This is a doll also, isn't it? I mean, now this doll is a battery inside of it. And it'll make a very annoying sound, so forgive me for that. Once I turn my friend on, there's a battery in it, this doll. It starts playing. Okay, rest, my friend. So we are like this only. Monkeys. The battery is consciousness. If I take the battery out, this wouldn't be doing anything. And this person or this doll is made up of this plastic material. Like those dolls were made up of wood. That's matter. Once I turn it on, somehow with the battery and this unique wiring that this doll has, it's been fitted with a certain mechanism, right? In this case, the mechanism that it is fitted with is that it's supposed to do a round and round motion. But it could also be clapping its hand. It also could be hopping around. And then, in this case, aptly it has this banana in it, which is what it's chasing, let's say. So within this prop now, we have these 4 important concepts that will make us understand Gita and philosophy so easily. Purusha, or consciousness, is the battery. Without it, this doll will not work. It is a form, this plastic form, which is Prakriti, matter. Once I turn this on, whoever designed this doll, he designed a certain action in it and a certain expression in it. So once I put the battery into this toy, it starts getting that experience, gun. And whatever action is plugged into it is karma. In this case, it's his hands are rotating. He's waving this fruit. So, with this prop, consciousness, matter, whatever logic is fit in, gives us an experience that's guna, and karma is whatever it is supposed to do, in this case, just rotate its hand. So if we look at ourselves from that perspective, and pardon me for saying, when science has said that we have all evolved from monkeys, and that's actually true, we are monkeys, but we try to give ourselves a little bit more credit than that. So yoga is actually the part where monkey becomes a monk. How can that monkey upgrade its operating system or its inner logic to become a monk? So, if we can keep that in mind, that is our second hardest idea in Bhagavad Gita after the 7 dolls. So let us start with the battery, the Purusha. So I just hand wrote this chart here. And this is what we discussed yesterday. So these two are what I'm calling Purushas. Or not I'm calling, but Vedanta calls them Purushas. Purusha is, for those who are Indian, they know that it's a word that's meant to use person. And these are all person dolls only, but different meanings for that Purushas. So this is the being Purusha, this is the doing Purusha, and so on and so forth. I'm calling them in English person. But this is the pure subject, consciousness, unconditioned self. Consciousness and existence. Vedanta, Tattvamasi, we said yesterday, this is Tat, then Tvam, and then the circle is the Asi. So today we talk about Tvam. This is the Tvam, you. This is the real I. When they say, who am I? Upanishads say, Gita says, you are this Atman, you are this pure consciousness. That somehow gets mixed up with matter, Prakriti, and then you get this. And Om, we said, is the symbol of it. Tattvamasi aham brahmasmi sat chit ananda. I'll pause here for a second and see if there is anything to share. Yes, Ajay.
You said the battery would be like the consciousness, right? What about prana?
So prana is how that system will work, no? So hold on to your question. When we come to Prakriti, the answer will be in the printouts that I shared. So we will come to that.
A while ago you showed that dog, that is monkey, right? Its actions are predefined. It's being told that you're supposed to do this. Human, when God creates it, is it being predefined that you're supposed to do this karma in your life?
So you're asking the philosophical question of free will. A way to frame that is, do I have free will or not? Am I already programmed? So hold on to that question also, Puneet. Once we go through some of this. In this case, this guy has been pre-programmed. That's why it's a monkey. The difference between this toy and all of us is that if we run on our pre-programmed software, all of us has a different pre-programmed software. And that is also getting upgraded all the time like an Apple iPhone based on the experience that we have. If we let our experience define us, then we get pre-programmed. But there's a way to override that pre-programming. That's the part monkey becoming a monk. That is the will you have. So the monkey doesn't have a free will, but the monk has a free will. This is the part where we are overcoming our triggers, whatever we are carrying inside of us. Just by going through the same habitual patterns, we can go to a retreat for 5 days, feel good about it, do some pranayam, chanting and sound healing and all. 5 days is good. That's the software will find its way back. It's a new year coming, no? So there are a lot of these retreats being planned right now. Resolutions and all, no? It's all good. Wait till 10 Jan. Most of us will be looking for the second set of retreats. So Purusha, any other anything else? We good to go? Okay. So this is Purusha, this is consciousness. Without this battery, nothing else will work. Now coming to that question, which is, where did this doll come from? That's where we started from, no? Now things become interesting. Let's open our printouts. But before I say, unlike these other 5 dolls, let's say these 5 dolls, these 2 dolls don't come from anywhere because they are the ultimate truth, ultimate reality. They are eternal, unborn, beginningless. They just are. As I was saying yesterday, isness and amness. This is the ground of everything that we are. So So these dolls don't get made. They are the true reality. Science, as I was mentioning yesterday, says that matter comes first and consciousness comes second. Which is like saying, whatever neurons are firing in my brain is what gives me this awareness. Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita and Indic philosophy says, no, no, no. Consciousness is the base material. That oneness always is. It's neither created, it's neither destroyed. It's neither born, it neither dies. It always is. This is the battery. There is a lot of misconception around this word consciousness, chitta. And one of my pet frustrations, not pet, but pet peeves is that it's liberally used in all kinds of different contexts. What this consciousness is not, let's talk about that. It is not conscience, first of all, like that whole thing that says, no, this is inside of us that says this is right or this is wrong. The moral voice, it's not that, first of all, conscience, it's not conscience. It is also not the conscious mind. Conscious mind is something that is liberally thrown around as consciousness. The conscious mind is this: awareness, I am Pranav. But away from that consciousness, or this conscious mind, beyond that conscious mind is this consciousness, isness, or amness. So that's an important distinction, what consciousness is and how it is, in my mind, misrepresented in pop culture, pop spiritual culture. So let's read some of these verses on what Gita says, what this one consciousness is. Puneet, I have shared the copies with, and as I said, we'll speed run them now. I think when you can, I have limited copies, but feel free to take pictures of it, and I have the Gita verses in there also. So for you to tie it back if you so choose.
And I just wanted to say, if the light is not enough, you can use your flashlight, but we're going to fix it to read the.
Yes, ma'am? Yeah. Oh, you don't have one? Well, so first of all, what is this consciousness? It's the one, non-dual. And I'll speed run these verses. Krishna says, I am the consciousness in all beings. Not this Krishna, by the way. This is the form of the God, Shankara will say. But this is also Krishna. We are all Krishnas only. But this is that Krishna who is the avatara, the formless one, for which this Krishna is just a spokesperson for, because, as I was mentioning, it doesn't do anything. The consciousness. I see Yuko has some question there.
I'm trying to understand.
Okay, so maybe park that for now. I think I just said more than I had to. But we'll come to that. I am is where I was. Maya is this one. I took them away for now. so that. So 10.22, he says, I am the consciousness in all beings. That is what makes us, all of us, one. Next he says to Arjun, I am the Atman. This consciousness is also Atman. He says, I sit in all the hearts, not that physical heart we have, metaphysically speaking. What is that beating source in us? That is what he's saying. He says, I'm also the beginning, the middle, and the end of all beings. Which is, if this doesn't exist, these three dolls, the soul, the experiencing person, and the doing person, will also not exist. So I am the beginning, the end, and the middle of all beings. Then he also says about this consciousness, this is what we are talking about right now. He says, among the lights, it is the light, not this light. This is where the language becomes a little limiting. That light that he is talking about is in those moments we feel inside of us when we feel like a complete peace. Don't feel any conflict. Whatever that emotion comes in is a rough symbol for what that light is. Then he says the witness, because it doesn't do anything, just a pure witness. The witness, the experiencer, the approver, the sustainer, and the great Lord. It is also called the Supreme Atman. It lives in the body, but it also transcends it. It lives in these bodies, but it is also beyond these bodies. This is me in these three people. But it lives in it, but it also goes beyond that. And then he says, I am this Om in all the chants, which is, he's talking about this pure sentience. This is the one that is in all of us. That magically, he says next is undivided, because it is just one. 13.17. Magically, why magically, what happens, what that game is, we'll come to that also as we go through in our study. But then he says, it is undivided, but magically it looks divided in all of us. And this division is the root of our problems. Because this person has no problems. The being person has no problems. The problems are here. Another beautiful metaphor I like to use for this person is that of a selfie. What happens when we take a selfie?
Just a reflection.
Yes, self-reflection, right? Isn't it? But can we, without turning that camera like this, can we see our face? Can we see our face without a mirror? The eyes do all the seeing, but can we see our eyes without the mirror? Isn't it? But you know you have a face. Isn't it? So this is the pure subject, if I were to assume, who has this magical power of being self-aware. Doesn't need a selfie stick. All of these need a selfie stick. If it makes sense. This is the pure subject to which all of these are objects. this body, if this is the object, what is the subject for this body?
Second order.
This one. The mind is seeing this body, no? When I see this body through my eyes, whatever goes inside of me, neurons, visual cortex, firing, and this mind processing it and say, oh, this is my body. So for this person, the experiencing person, this is the object. This is the subject and this is the object. What is the subject for this experiencing person? Same logic. The soul. We don't see it, we don't feel it, only we can feel our minds and our inner experience. But as I mentioned earlier, this is sitting inside of me, my soul. It's recording everything all the time, whether we know it or not. What do they say, that famous line, no? It is what we are doing when nobody is watching. That's what matters. So it's that guy. He's recording always. So for this soul, this is the object. What is the subject for this guy? This. But the story just ends here. Consciousness. This is the pure subject for which there is no object. My face, which I cannot see. But turn the mirror, I see my face. That's ego. This pure subject, one consciousness, with this idea of ego, becomes these three. There's a lot I just said in the last 5 minutes. But this is the hierarchy of how our inner experience, our inner being works. But the game stops here though. Pure subject, to which all of these are objects. The pure face, which reflects itself in these three. And obviously the other ones too. This is Advaita at its highest. I'll pause here.
Does the consciousness suffer from the behavior of the three others? The consciousness, does it suffer from the behavior of the three others if they behave?
No, it doesn't care.
It stays the same.
It's like the ocean, no? Whatever fishes are playing inside that ocean, does the ocean care?
Yeah, but the ocean, there is sometimes some waves, sometimes.
Yeah, but it's all within the ocean. It's all within the water. Sorry, not technically water. The fishes swimming in the water do whatever they want. Does the water care?
So just the tree suffers.
They three suffer. It just watches. It doesn't record anything. It's very non-transactional. Maya is transactional. Anything that changes is transactional. This person is completely non-transactional, but once we realize that this is the non-transactional bit in us, then all our other problems become a little less important, no? Once we realize this is who we are, and we can understand that we are never born, never dying, let's say, playing this game, like as I said, this was a play. Some of us have good parts in this play, some of us don't have good parts in this play of life. Life keeps on going. Next question is, okay, if it doesn't do anything, what good is it? Isn't it? Once we understand that all the temporary, as I was saying, like, this person, experiencing person is trying to chase all the pleasures and no pain. The problem is here. The transactions are here. And here also, because subconscious wants certain desires, certain things that get manifested here. The key is, how do we find this non-transactional bit which doesn't care about pleasure or pain? As long as we are going to chase pleasure, we are going to get pain. But if we say, I don't care about pleasure or pain, whatever comes, comes. Then we rise above that situation, no? We understand that there is always going to be that duality, good and bad. Always going to be, and the less attached we are to chasing the goodness and avoiding the badness, the less simpler our life will become, hopefully. It's that one only, non-transactional, doesn't care about pleasure, pain. It's a hard thing to internalize just because we are programmed like this by life. Did that answer your question a little bit? So, this is consciousness. In interest of time, let's quickly read through that. So the next bit I have, the yogi, the wise sees the one. The yogi in consciousness sees the Atman in all beings and all beings in the Atman. This is the ideal of oneness. It took me a while to understand this verse actually. The next one he says, a friend, a brother or a relative, a well-wisher, an enemy or a stranger, a mediator, hateful, a saint and also a sinner, they are special who see alike. So we treat everybody the same way. Friend or foe, a well-wisher, an enemy, a saint or a sinner. That is the practice. We're not able to do it because we're all humans, but that is the practice. I'll come to the next bit, which is basically, we talked about Maya yesterday, space, time and karma. This special entity is beyond space, time and karma. Space and time is our life. Karma is the unseen reason why we're born again and again, karmic bondages. So all of that is in space, time, karma, but this is beyond space, time and karma. And then on this printout you will see that this Atman is within the Maya, but it is, beyond that also. Maybe I'll skip that bit for today because I think we are also short on time, but let's do this. Hold on. Let me do a time check. Sanju, how much time do we have?
We are at
3 minutes.
3 minutes to 7:30.
Okay. Who has to leave in the next 15-20 minutes?
15 minutes, yeah.
15 minutes? Okay. Kate? You're fine? Okay, good. I mean, Gita sessions can go a little longer if you want to do them justice. That's why I wrote all the verses so that I can quickly go through them, but it's still not enough. But coming back to this idea, I think you're asking, right? What good is it? So the nature of this thing is that, I'll read through it. It is within the experience because it's sitting inside Arjun. All the Arjuns in the world, it's within Arjun's experience, but it is also experienceless. So now the language in Bhagavad Gita will start talking in contradictory language, which is why we say this is unattached yet within through. I said no, water doesn't care what the fish do. But without that water, the fish will not be able to swim. So that experience, for that experience, this person is important. But it's perfectly fine without experience also. Same thing within space. Within time, space is this. It's through and through in this space through us. Like my body is space inside there. It's inside everything. But also beyond this space also. Within you guys. It is also within time, my life. I lose this battery, I'm done. It's within time also. But it's eternal also, beyond time also. It's also within karma. This doing person will not be able to do what it has to do without this body, because it's without this being person, because it's important for these things to function. But it is also a non-doer. It doesn't do anything. As I was saying, it doesn't care. See, we all have judgments about life, no? This is fair and this is not fair. This has no judgments. It doesn't care about fairness or non-fairness. It doesn't want to pick sides between Ukraine and Russia, India or Pakistan. That's all within us, whatever we are conditioned. It is within life and death, and it is also beyond life and death. It's unborn, undying, immortal, birthless, and deathless. So, this is a philosophical construct and many different ways to understand what this consciousness is. And then I'll just read some verses very quickly. He says, but there never was a time when I was not, neither you nor these kings. He's talking to Arjun. And there will also never be a time when all of us will not exist from here on. Which is this person. Krishna or Mahabharata died, obviously. But when Krishna is Atman, he's still here with us. So when he says, there never was a time I was not. I, in this case, he's talking about this. Krishna as Atman, consciousness. Then he says, the body has an end, but the embodied Atman is eternal, indestructible, and unknowable. It's beyond mind, so it's unknowable. This is who we are, one consciousness, eternal, indestructible, unknowable. Then he says, never is born, never it dies, for having once existed, will it exist again. Unborn, eternal, imperishable, it is without beginning. It dies not even when the body dies. And then this was the question you asked, right? Does it do anything or not? And those next 3-4 verses are talking about that. He says, who think the Atman kills. Killing is a doing action only. Who think the Atman kills or who think it is killed, they both know not. It neither kills nor is killed. Doesn't do any action. It's neither kills nor is it killed. Then he says, this the weapons can pierce not, this the fire can burn not, this the water can wet not, this the wind can dry not. Which means it is beyond all the 5 elements. 5 elements, weapons, the physical bit, fire, water, wind. It's beyond this. Then following for that, he says, impossible to pierce, impossible to burn, impossible to wet. It is also impossible to dry, which is just taking that elemental idea further. And then he says, they truly see who see that the Atman is a non-doer, it doesn't do anything. These are some of the hardest verses in Gita to understand, really. But once we have this construct, we know what he's talking about. The undying in us, he will say. And undying in all of us, even when we die, is this being person. Then he talks about knowledge. This is also knowledge, but let's pass for today in the interest of time. And this is moksha. Most importantly, when we say moksha, liberation. See, it doesn't do anything, that's why we are not interested in it. But what we are interested in moksha. We are not interested in, but we are interested in moksha. But this is moksha. This is what I was saying, pleasure and pain. Addiction to more pleasure, less pain. That is bondage. When we become indifferent to pleasure and pain, that is moksha. And the language he uses is, it is freedom from sorrow. And the language, the beautiful verse 6.23, I've just taken small bits of it to tell about the idea of freedom, moksha. He says, the disunion of union with sorrow. Union of sorrow is bondage. This is language. Gita has this way of using this play on words a lot. He says the disunion of union with sorrow. Union with sorrow is bondage, but the disunion from that union is moksha. Then he says yoga removes sorrows.
Why not happiness?
Happiness, huh?
Why not disunion from happiness?
What is happiness?
Joy.
Joy. Happiness and joy are two different things.
Whatever, opposite of sorrow.
Yeah. So opposite of sorrow would be what? Happiness. Where there will be happiness, there will automatically be sorrow, no? Happiness is what we have, another word for pleasure. We say pleasure is for happiness only. But if we are self-contained, we say we don't look for happiness outside, we don't look for pleasure outside. That's joy, no? Then he says, even the greatest sorrow, once we figure this person out and realize this person out, he will say, even the greatest sorrow will not shake the yogi. Then he says, the grace ends all sorrows as they arise. So moksha is freedom from sorrow. In fact, then he says moksha is freedom itself. What is that nature of that freedom? It is not freedom from this. This is bondage, freedom. What is that nature of freedom? It is, he says, in this idea of one unity, one whole. He says, when the diversity of beings is seen in one unity. This is one of my favorite verses. When the diversity of beings, all of us, different beings, is seen in one unity, and also from this one, this vastness, all of this is seen to emerge, then you come to the being of Brahman. Brahman and Atman, as we said in Advaita Vedanta, are the same idea. This is Brahman, but this is also Brahman, but we call it Atman as an individualized self. Then he says, then we become Brahman. Then 2.72 is a very famous verse. He says, this is the being of Brahman, Arjun. Merged in it at the time of death, they attain the freedom. That's going beyond the circle of life and death. Sorrow, suffering, happiness, all of that. Finally, he says his moksha is home itself. This is our true home, spiritual home. He says this world is a temporary misery of sorrow. He says womb of sorrow, he says, poetically. He says this world is a womb of misery, and he says, free from the bonds of birth, they go to the home of no sorrow. He then says, the idea of home, unmanifested, imperishable, that is the highest destiny. On reaching that, there is no coming back. That is my highest home. Until that, this temporary game will keep on going. Finally, he says, there the sun shines not. Where this person is, there the sun shines not, nor the moon, nor the fire. On reaching, there is no coming back, as in we break the samsara, the cycle. Maya is cycle only. Repeated patterns, cycles. Temporal existence, Maya. How do you become immortal, eternal, infinite? It's this. It's possible. It's not a theoretical concept because the people like him who've shown it. He died at 39, decided to go, he went on his own. This. So there are enlightened beings living within us. I'm not one for sure, but there are. So, this is all. I think we'll stop here today. I want to do Prakriti also after Purusha, but I think it's a good end to just stop at this idea of consciousness. Hard topic, very philosophical, but once we start investigating, because Gita, as I said, is a self-inquiry text, we'll start seeing, once we sit with it, we'll start seeing where this all is going to. Yes, Kate?
When he says that moksha is freedom or moksha is home, can we also say, or can we interpret from that moksha is also contentment, or does moksha leads to contentment, not to happiness but to contentment? I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it makes complete sense.
So this is a result of moksha, or is moksha and contentment the same? Moksha is not joy, because joy would be more like something pleasurable, what we see, what we can cling to. But if we are content, if we feel contentment from the inside, then we are not clinging to something, we're not attached to something. So this would be more like the consciousness, more like the result of moksha, or is it the same?
Yes. So being content is a symptom of moksha, if it makes sense.
Talking of
One second, just 1 second. So being content is a symptom of being liberated. It's one of the aspects of being liberated. Not wanting anything from the world outside. Knowing that you're whole already. You don't need anything else to complete yourself. That is the other symptom of moksha. The answer?
If moksha is home and it means freedom from the bonds of birth, so there's no body as yet. How are we experiencing?
That's a second similar corollary to what we're talking about. It doesn't do anything, what good it is. Right? So if it is moksha and I don't have a body, what good is it? Isn't it? So there are two ways to look at it, I feel. From the karmic perspective, we are born again and again because of karma, past karma, previous lives and all. And we are born again and again to ultimately find this person only. This is the self seeking the self, if it makes sense. Once you get here, there is nothing stopping you from being born again if you so choose. But you'll have a lot less or zero karmic load. Ramakrishna Paramhamsa, my guru, and there are many, Ramana Maharshi, and I'm talking modern day enlightened people, not the gurus masquerading here in Mysore. Many are there. They decide to be born if they so choose. For what? Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bharata. To do good for everyone. That's the body they decide to take. But until then, yeah, I mean, we don't have a choice, they have a choice. That is the argument given. Because it is our attachment to this body and to this experience that we want to play again this game over and over again. We might be depressed as hell, but we are still attached to this body and this experience. Isn't it? Because there's always this want in all of us that I want more like happiness, right? Even if you're sad, get me out of this thing that is between these 2 years, this movie that is playing between these 2 years. So the idea isn't that like, okay, you become one with this, then you don't have a body and then you suddenly like, you can come back if you want, but your karmic load will be close to zero. You'll live free. do good for the world, be joyful, be content. And the important point here is not what happens after you die. That can be a theoretical concept that I just told you. But it can be felt in this life itself, this moksha. Moksha is misunderstood as what happens after I die, whether I come back or not. The real point of moksha is this life itself, this now. Whatever life I have going from here onwards, can I live free or not? So that's the practical aspect of that moksha. Breaking the patterns, breaking the traumas. Once you break them, then it says break the goodness also in you. Go beyond the goodness also, because that is also bondage. Lots to meditate on, and maybe tomorrow we can have a deeper discussion on that. More questions? Yes, Sarpreet.
I think then time and again, I come back to this feeling question. Why should I even play this? If it's moksha, freedom. Why should I create more? Why should I even participate in this? Like, for example, I can choose to sit on the shoreline and not jump in the ocean, right? Why should I participate in this, right? Because I could just be and do nothing. I don't know. I have this challenge of like, if I knowing this, why should I do anything? Just sit on the shoreline. And so I don't know.
Wasn't that what Arjun wanted to do also?
Yeah, but it brings me
No,
back
no.
to that same feeling. Like, why do I need to participate?
Yeah, because we don't have a choice. I think Puneet was asking free will.
So, to add on to Harpreet's question, so there is a name in like Sanskrit and Kannada called Tatastha. So, Tatastha is basically a mountain next to a river, you can see, or you can assume. So, the river is flowing, but the mountain is staying there and seeing the river flow. So, when she said that, that particular name struck to me, which is Tatastha. So where can Tatastha come in this, in this four dolls? And is the mountain the smallest doll, which is Atman, or the mountain is the soul doll, which has turned into a liberated person, not a prisoner?
What is the relationship between the mountain and the river, Sanju?
So the mountain is seeing the river flow, but it is not flowing with the river. It is staying where it is there. So it is not participating, but it is witnessing.
So does the mountain have a choice to go to the river?
It's just witnessing.
No, I know, but I'm just sort of like going further. Mountain doesn't have a choice. Mountain swabhava. So that analogy I'm saying, metaphor, no, it's not exact in this case, because mountain swabhava is to stay still. In that sense, it's not a pure witness. It's just been placed there by some geological miracle. Now, coming back to Harpreet's question, we may say we do not want to play, but is that so? Is that so? The saddest person also wants to play because he wants to like get happier, no? Or wanting to get out of his sadness. Arjun said, I wanted to run away. And then in 18th chapter, he says to Arjun, you think you want to run, but you won't be able to run. Your swabhava will bring you back. So, Puneet was asking about free will. You don't have free will. We think we have free will. To go over the free will is the path of yoga. Moksha. One second, sir. Amrita, you had a question? No? Okay.
Is to attain moksha itself not a desire?
So, I'll answer it two ways. There is this word in spiritual seeking, it's called Mumukshatva. Has anybody heard of this term? It's a Sanskrit word that means an intense desire for freedom. Intense desire for freedom. Not a desire for like ordering Chinese tonight for dinner. Finding a soulmate. It's not that desire. It's an intense desire for when you say, I'm done with this play. Good or bad, whatever that play is, I'm done with this play. I need to quit this one player game as I keep talking about it. And once that desire to quit the game, one player game, Shama Krishna says that is the one desire, that is the good desire. He says to Vivekananda says, I think I forget the context, but it was like Vivekananda wants to just go sit and meditate in a cave somewhere and go away. And Ramakrishna says, do you want to taste sugar or do you want to be sugar? Taste of sugar will go away at some point, no?
But it should start from the desire to attain moksha, no?
Yes. So that is what Ajayji was saying. That is a healthy desire, unlike other desires. Then in Gita, Krishna says there are certain desires that are actually good. Not only Mumukshatvam. I said I'll answer it two ways. So Mumukshatvam is the highest kind of a spiritual seeking. But in more transactional life, in Krishna, in I think chapter 10th, he says that desires that are in conformity or in accordance with dharma are good desires, they are okay. Because we have to live in this world, no? So how can you say you cannot have any desires? That is not possible. But what are the desires that are quote unquote allowed for a spiritual seeker? You have bills to pay, okay, pay the bills, do it honestly in dharma, according to dharma. Don't cheat, don't do this, all of these things.
Is to eat food when you're hungry a desire?
It's a desire, it's a healthy desire because your body needs it. But then when we say, okay, I want 3 kinds of cuisines and I want exactly like this, and if you say if I'm thirsty, I want water, but then you say I only want Fanta, then the problem will happen. The desire for water when you're thirsty is okay.
That's like a need, right? Need, want, desire.
Yeah. But we humans, like we have like existential needs, no? So those desires, if are done in accordance with what our dharma is and our duty is, those are not only acceptable, Krishna would actually encourage it. Because Gita is not written for a monk. Gita is written for Arjun, who is actually a householder. The things to do in life, how to do those things in life, what is a good way to do those things, like all are part of dharma only, no? Beauty of Gita, why it's a complete text, is that it doesn't say that run away from the world. It says stay in the world and what's that thing it's called? Be in the world but don't be of the world. Something like that it is said. Okay, I'm now talking too much. Any more questions before we wrap the day for today? Yes, Puneet.
Not really a question, but to what Harpreet asked, a comparison came in my mind. I mean, when just asking you if it suits well here. I mean, we can imagine the world as a football field or a cricket field, and we are born here. So if we are born here, we have to perform what is required to be there. Just a small example, one second. If we are on a cricket field and we consider the world as field, and we are born here, equivalent to we choosing to play the game, then we definitely need to be there for a reason. Maybe a midfielder or a goalkeeper or something. We cannot just be there and then we are a disturbance. We might disturb the game or we might not be useful. So something like that I was thinking when she was asking this question, that we can just be there. We cannot just be there in a football field. So we have to do what is right for being here in the world. So we cross these. When I didn't attend the initial session today, but from yesterday, what I understand, this path of achieving moksha goes through our karma or whatever we do in this field, which is the world. So this is what came in my mind, and I wanted to check with you. Do I think?
Yes, I mean, absolutely. I mean, see, we all have something to contribute in this world. If we keep that attitude in mind, then we'll be able to tap into the goodness in us and not be, we'll be able to tap into what is good inside of us and not be caught by our basal tendencies. I mean, if you're playing midfield and you just play for yourself, that is not good, no? But if you're playing for the team, that is what he's saying, play for the team being everyone.
I cannot stand in the ground letting everyone play and just stand there and see.
That you're already on the field.
Yeah, we are already on the field, so we need to.
You didn't choose to be born in this particular family, in this particular country, at this point in time.
This is our field. We need to
Kurukshetra.
choose.
This is the Kurukshetra. That field is the Kurukshetra.
But I've heard that a soul chooses to get born because of the kind of impressions जो भी बचा कुचा होता है उसके साथ फिर वो next life लेता है. A soul chooses its family for its own evolution.
It doesn't choose it. It is choiceless in that matter. And the choice is being directed by the karmic impression it has.
Exactly, sure.
So it's a choiceless game. Except for these kind of people. Okay, let's end the night here. think we went way past it. I have a few favors to ask if it is possible. It's a new gig for me, and I'm not a social media person, at least not yet. Um, there is an Instagram handle here. If you feel it was useful and you want to be part of this conversation, even beyond my SOR, like I'll leave at some point from here, but there will be stuff I'll be posting at certain point. There's nothing in their handle right now, but if you want to follow, that will be much appreciated. Um, there is also that little donation box there. Um, whatever donation, like there's a lot that's gone into this work. Um, people have to be paid, and this work has to be sustainable at certain level. But whatever you get called for or not get called for, it's okay. But see what comes. So we'll end with a prayer. Simple one. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Hari Om Tat Sat. Thank you, everyone. Tomorrow we'll do the Prakriti bit, which I was going to cover. And if you're, I'm going to be using the same printouts tomorrow for Prakriti also. So you can take them tomorrow if that's okay. So leave the printouts today for now, but pick them up tomorrow if you want to carry them with you.
Pranav, I have a question. It's Christmas tomorrow, so are you still planning to hold the session? Is everyone available?
I don't know. Shall we have the session tomorrow?
What do you all think? I don't know who celebrates or. Can you have a show of hands if you're okay to come tomorrow, or should we move it? Yeah.
You don't know or you're not coming?
I don't know.
Okay. Let's have it. It's just I don't want to break it. The Gita's attitude is if there's only one person comes, we do the show.
And I would love to bring some tea for you all. Would you like that? I will make something in bread. Would you like that?